Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 327. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
Kevin's coming at us through the power of the phone because his mic is...
Cool.
Yeah.
That mic just died.
If you guys can hear what Kevin sounds like through the phone, imagine that like 100 times worse. And that's how it was. In fact, if you listen to Ryan Watches a Movie this week, you'll be able to hear what Kevin, because it actually started to die during that show.
Yeah,
so
you can hear it die in real time.
Yeah, I'm gonna clean it up the best I can in editing, but there's not a whole lot that can be done with that episode.
I think it's also really unfortunate because I think that did kind of like just derail that whole episode. I don't think we really fully recovered afterwards.
Yes, I somewhat agree with you there. It definitely, because we were talking about some stuff and then we had a good flow and then like the mic problem happened and then we had to kind of stop and pick back up with the mic problem, and yeah, we never fully recovered from that.
The flow was gone. It got damned.
Yeah.
Got damned up.
Yeah, that's why, like, for this, so we tested it. It was still sounding really rough, and rather than just trying to power through it, just had him call in. Old school.
I like that to just be my calling card now, though. Just a shitty mic.
You just use your phone. Not even use a mic. Just use your phone every week.
Just calling in all the time, dude. Why not?
Yeah. We'll have to do something about that. Anyway, this week on the show, we'll be talking about Albert Birney's Tux and Fanny, the movie, which is available for free on Vimeo right now. We'll also be talking about someone watching on the watch list and going over this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, you can help support Film Pulse on Patreon at patreon.com/filmpulse for just $1 a month. Also, please consider reviewing us on iTunes. That is extremely helpful as well. Not a whole lot of housekeeping to get through today. Just as I mentioned at the top of the show, there will be a new Ryan Watches Movie this week. He wanted a comedy, so we gave him a very contemporary comedy. Give that a listen and see if he liked that. That's pretty much it. Ken and I are formulating what we want to do for the June episode of Saved by the 90s. We have the topic, and we're just putting the final touches on the movie selections. So we will have more on that in the coming weeks. And I think with that, we can get into our review. No plot synopsis for this that I can see here.
I have one.
Where's
Tux
this?
And Fanny, it's off of Albert Birney's website.
Oh, okay.
Tux and Fanny are two friends living together in the forest, and these are their adventures! !
That's for the movie or just for the whole thing in general?
For the whole thing in general.
Oh, okay.
They're just living together in the forest, having adventures.
So Albert Birney, who we spoke about on this show before, we reviewed his last movie, Silvio, his last feature, Silvio. Yeah. And we both liked that quite a bit. And since Silvio, he's been doing these little short films, almost like a web series called Tux and Fanny. And I've been enjoying them. I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen most of them. And then all of a sudden he announced that he was making a feature-length movie out of Tux and Fanny. And then all of a sudden he just like surprise dropped it online and it was just available for free on Vimeo, like out of nowhere, it seemed.
Yes.
Now, Kevin, I take it you were also familiar with the series Tux and Fanny.
Oh yeah, buddy. Because not only did we discussed Silvio on the show. I think we had an episode for that one. His movie before that, The Beast Pageant, I covered as an unsung indie. And I've also watched a bunch of his other short films that he's done. I'm a big Albert Burney fan.
Okay. So what did you think of the Tux and Fanny movie?
The Tux and Fanny movie. Now, I'm with you where I've been following this on Twitter. You'd be scrolling through Twitter and it'd be like, oh, new Tux and Fanny. All right. And you watch that bad boy because they're all what, like I forget
2 minutes.
Yeah, like 2 minute max maybe.
Yeah.
So, like in the midst of your scrolling, you get this little break. You get to catch up with Tux and Fanny, see what they're up to. What new adventures are they having together as friends living in the forest? And but I don't think I caught every single one of them because I couldn't tell if he actually had like a schedule for releasing these. The individual episodes things. They just kind of seemed to come up at random.
Yeah.
So if you caught it, you caught it. If not, you just didn't really know about it. So it was enjoyable to have them essentially all compiled and put together as one shot. But I don't know if it works as well as it did with it being episodic in Twitter form. You know what I mean?
I completely agree with you. So with his last feature, Silvio, that's based on a Vine account. And that was another thing where you're like, these work as little bite-sized, jokes on Vine, but how can we translate this into a feature length film? And I think that with Silvio, it surprisingly worked. Like it was just, he made that work and it was actually really enjoyable. With Tux and Fanny, I still enjoyed it, but I feel like this is the type of thing that is better suited for short form entertainment and not an hour and 20 minutes. Because by the end I was just like, okay, like I've had enough. And I don't want that to sound like it's necessarily a negative because I like almost everything about Tux and Fanny as a whole. I love the animation style, the sort of 8-bit, like old Commodore 64 computer style. I love the sound. One thing that I think can't be underscored enough is the unique sound in this. Like for instance, when they found the chicken and the chicken was like feeding, it was just the sound of the chicken like bending over and picking up food off the ground. Like I just loved all the sound.
Yes, he uses some really interesting sound effects for a lot of it. Like the one where it's just like a worm inching along, on a leaf.
But also the thing that makes me, when I see that and I hear like those really weird sounds associated with things, it gives me this weird nostalgia for like back in the day, like when we were in elementary school and we would have like film strip day and we would watch these like really weird old educational cartoons and stuff. And like, that's sort of how it sounded. And I really love that about this. There's this like added level of nostalgia, but also on top of that, the fact that Tux and Fanny seem to be Russian adds this other kind of weird layer where it's like, is this like an 80s, like, are they behind the Iron Curtain? Is that what's happening? And this is like some kind of weird,
was this their cartoon?
Yeah, was this some kind of like weird Russian cartoon? I love that that's part of it as well. Yeah. And how like everything, like all of the text in the movie is like in Russian. So I just love the look. I love the aesthetic, everything about the style of this movie and how throughout the movie they don't always do the 8-bit style. They mix it up and there's like watercolors and there's like when everything turns to wood and they turn into these like cone things. Like there's just so much here that I really liked, but at the same time, I was just like, it's not holding me for an hour and 20 minutes. Like, I just think that this would be better suited for smaller, even like 30-minute chunks.
Which I think, and that is it's the way it works best for me was like you're saying the Twitter experience, just catching it. And it was nice to hear having them collected, and it was because back when this first started, when he first started doing these, which might be like over a year ago, I'm not 100% sure, but some of those early episodes I kind of had forgotten when I started up the movie. So I'm with you where it was kind of losing me at the end, but I don't know if that was necessarily the film itself or it was because I was getting into more of territory where the episodes were still pretty fresh, like I had seen them just a little bit ago, compared to like the very beginning of the movie where it's like, oh, I haven't seen these, little episodes for like over a year now. I completely forgot that he lost all of his skin from fire
Yeah.
ants.
And not only did he lose all of his skin, but then a chicken moved inside of him. And I love how things had lasting consequences in this world. Like, he loses all of his skin, and that's just how it is. He's like that for the rest of the time. Now, they do knit him a replacement skin, so he does get the
Yeah,
skin back, but it has a little hole in it so the chicken can pop its head
they can
out.
get the eggs out. They can get those
Yes.
eggs out. Yeah, and I love the fact that Albert Burney has such an interesting way of just like developing characters and even like building relationships where like when Tux finally gets rid of the chicken, lets the chicken out into the wild, and you can actually see that like it really affects him. And he's really
Hmm.
bummed out that he doesn't have a chicken living in his rib cage anymore. Which it's just like the way he's able to like create emotional connection between like the most ridiculous of things. It's a chicken that
Yeah.
lives in his rib cage that has a
I,
hole in his skin suit so it can get eggs.
I liked the scene when I think it was, I can't remember if it was Tux or Fanny that started it, but they had a spider on their face so that the spider could eat their tears. I love the whole explanation about how like the spider is the angel and the tears are like the demons and the negativity leaving your body, and then you're having the angel suck up the negativity. Very
and just cut and just cut to Fanny sitting beside
Yeah,
him with
yeah.
a spider on his
With the
face.
spider. I love the existential like dread that this movie and the series evokes. Like, there's some
Yeah.
really a couple of the sequences I found myself being very depressed afterwards. Like, oh god, like we're so alone in this universe. But there's some really kind of, for as silly and sort of absurd as Tux and Fanny is, they deal with a lot of really heavy
Yeah.
topics.
And that's the interesting thing between Tux and Fanny is you have that juxtaposition of their personalities because Tux is always doing that like existential crisis pontificating, and then it's usually just Fanny after the long soliloquy or whatever, and Fanny just says something silly or does something silly, like when Tux does the whole speech about the campfire and the flames raging and all that, and then it just pulls out, and Fanny's like, "I like to poke it with a stick."
Yeah. I also like how their computer broke and their TV broke, and then those two things were just laying in their yard forever after
They just
after
live in the yard.
after that happened.
And that was and that's the thing that I found thoroughly enjoyable within the context of it being episodic on Twitter. Like when I would catch it, it felt like, like perfect timing. Like, oh wow, yes, a Tux and Fanny, because you had no idea one was going to come out. If one was going to come out, you didn't know how many he was doing. It would just kind of be a surprise. And then it had that, the through line where you had stuff that came back over and over. The TVs, you see the TVs out there and be like, oh yeah, that's right. Where what was his name? Julian, the turtle in the sky that plays the glockenspiel.
Yeah.
And that's how you're born.
Yeah.
He shows up later. And the stuff with the cubes, how Fanny starts seeing cubes all the
cubes
time.
everywhere. Yeah.
She was stuck in the computer for a while.
Yeah, it's they act as like really perfect little like bite-sized nuggets of entertainment that
but
they get in real quick. They have like they're really funny, and they have like kind of a topic for you to ponder. And I think that combining them all into this movie, it's cool. I just don't know how much this works compared to having them in those bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, but I think that it's still a credit to him, because if you think about it, he made all these episodes, like how many? 79. So you have 79 different episodes, right? That work perfectly as little bite-sized nuggets, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also work well enough that you can just smush them all together, 1 through 79, and watch all of them at once, and it works that way too. Which that's kind of hard to do, planning wise.
Yeah. It's really impressive. I mean, again, like the level of creativity and talent behind this movie and the web series is like just incredible. I really love everything about Tux and Fanny.
And I'm remembering two things here. I love the idea of Fanny playing the video game Penguin Pusher.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but
the funniest part of that was when she goes over to Tux and he's standing on the chair trying to change the light bulb, and it just cuts to him having his arm in the sling, because what she did.
Just the look on her face.
She pushed him.
And I also, the one episode is just they're two cars. They're two cars driving around on a giant deer.
Yeah. Yep.
And they come up on the deer skull.
That was when they first revealed the acorn inside the deer skull.
And then he even had, at the end, which, I mean, this is, to me, again, this is pretty damn cool, is where they had, towards the end, they get to the beach and they're talking about how there's so many different versions of them, different universes and everything. And then he actually put a call out to people, hey, this is the scene, do your own artwork and send it in to me, and I'll use it. And then it just, it ends up just cycling through like 50 different, styles, all created by other people.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. They even did a live action. There was like a little live action part of it at one point where there was people that were dressed up in Tux and Fanny costumes. It wasn't that one that you mentioned. It was a separate episode, but just tons of really cool stuff. I loved the whole story when Tux left and it was just Fanny and she was so alone and she was just so lonely that she decided to make another Tux and made him out of clay, and she put him at the fire and he melted. I liked that whole, like, how it kept falling over and then she wanted it to move, so she put it on the record player.
That's the other thing is he does this like little quick turns into just like darkness, and it just gets really weird and dark, and then it pops back out.
Yeah.
But it'll get really surreal and dark for a second, and then it's back to just being silly.
I don't know where Adult Swim is at, but this feels like it'd be perfectly suited for Adult Swim. They need to pick this up.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like Albert Burney works that way.
I don't think so. I think he just does his own thing at his own pace.
Yeah. And it's kind of a bummer because I'm like, I can see him, he's obviously going to move on to something else. But it's like, I hope at some point we come back to Tux and Fanny. Because I want to know what you're doing. I want to know what Tux and Fanny are up to.
Yeah.
I want more Tux and Fanny. I'm being selfish now. I just want more. Give it to me.
Yeah, me too. I want to see this. I think he is planning a DVD or Blu-ray release of this. Because I think I did.
Okay.
I think I read something on Twitter where he was looking for people to write like essays to include in the Blu-ray release. You know, sort of like what Criterion does and like Arrow and
Yeah.
So I think that there is an impending release of this on Blu-ray.
He does have it on VHS right now.
Oh,
You want to pick up a VHS for $20?
Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah. Which I have a feeling watching this on a VHS is like the main way you should probably see it.
Yeah, I think so.
Worn out after 15 years of use.
Bad tracking.
Yeah.
Lo-fi, scan lines, all that stuff.
Yep. That's just going to add to it.
Yep. All right, that's Tux and Fanny. I don't know if we need to give this a score.
Let's score each episode off 79. So
Each of the 79.
Start with New Friends. What would you give New Friends?
I'm not sure where that one ends, but probably like a 9.
Okay, there we go. Or 9. And then what we'll do is each individual rating, we'll just average those 79 ratings together to come up with your overall rating.
Yeah, that sounds like a whole thing that I don't want to be a part of. That is a whole thing.
So sit tight, people. The rest of this episode.
The rest of the episode is going to be nonstop math. Numbers, lots of numbers, figuring out what episode, what happens in this episode.
Do a breakdown of each
Giving
one.
that a number.
I'm going to go ahead and open up Google Sheets real quick. Start this spreadsheet.
Okay, get those formulas ready. Might want to build some macros so we can make this a little easier.
I might make a pivot table. I might fuck around and make a pivot table.
Oh, shit. Here we go. Tux and Fanny, again, that is on Vimeo right now. Just type in Tux and Fanny. It'll pop up right there. It's like an hour and 22 minutes. Give it a look. Yeah, give it a look.
I mean, you can watch all sorts of places. You can watch the individual ones on Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah.
I think it's easier on Instagram.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But this is an interesting thing because this ended up, Tux and Fanny, as it were, when it was the individual episodes, was on my year-end top 50 list. And now it gets to be on it again because it's going to be on it again at the end of the year. Just a heads up, spoiler.
Yeah, sure.
So back-to-back years, Tux and Fanny.
Nice. Let's move on and talk about someone watching on the watch list. I saw The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I have a review for this up on the site right now. As of right now, this is my number one movie of 2019.
Ooh.
Yeah, not going to bear the lead there. I loved this movie. It's directed by Joe Talbot. I had a feeling since that first trailer dropped, I was like, oh man, this movie is immediately speaking to me. I'm going to love this. I just know I'm going to love it. And I really did love it. It does drag a little bit, maybe towards like the middle or like towards the like 3/4 mark, like when the conflict of the movie starts to really sort of build up, I feel like it does drag. Like the pacing sort of slows a little bit. But even though it stumbles a little bit during that point, it recovers very quickly at the end. If you're not familiar with this, it's a movie about two best friends who live in San Francisco, and one of them, it's like his dream to move back into his childhood home, and he gets the opportunity to move back into that home. So him and his best friend, Montgomery, who is an artist and a playwright, they move all their stuff in and they fix up this home, and some other things happen. Highly recommended. Amazing music in this. The score is just out of control. It's so good. It's on Spotify now, by the way. Performances across the board are incredible. I mean, this is a feature debut from Joe Talbot. Jimmy Fails, who wrote the screenplay and he stars in it. This is like his first acting. I think he was in a short film from Joe Talbot, but this is like his first major role. He's great in it. And I think that it's based on events from his life too. But
I think so. I think you're right.
Highly, highly recommend seeing The Last Black Man in San Francisco. This is playing in limited release right now. I'm not sure what the like full release schedule of this is, but A24 is putting it out, so hopefully it'll make its way to wherever you are shortly.
Okay. All right. I'm amped for this one. I'm excited.
It's really funny too. I should mention that it is. I would call it a comedy. There's a lot of humor in it.
Just gotta wait for it to come out on streaming.
Yeah.
Because I did like when you were like, it comes out this weekend. Is it playing? I just laughed. I laughed for like 2 minutes straight.
I knew, like, as soon as I said it, like I was pretty sure. But I was like, well, let's just try it. The only reason I even asked if there was a possibility it was coming out is because it was A24, and But then as soon as I looked and saw that it was only playing in like 2 theaters in New York, I was like, oh boy, that's definitely a limited release.
No, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, A24 is weird because their rollouts just they're a bit odd sometimes. You know what I mean?
Some like, stuff they just blast to everybody, and some they hold back.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that. It's weird.
It's understandable for some releases. Like this movie, this isn't going to appeal to everyone. Like it's a little bit of a niche title. Like it's kind of weird. It's a little quirky. It's a lot headier than, you know, most typical mainstream stuff. More arty. Middle America just wouldn't be into this, I don't think.
Well, I have one that Middle America would also not be into, and that's the latest from Nathan Silver, The Great Pretender. This is currently playing on Amazon Prime. Just popped up out of nowhere. Amazon Prime. You can watch it there. This is, it's good. Nathan Silver doing his thing. Highly enjoyable. It's about this female playwright who, this French woman, she's working on this play based on her relationship with a guy played by Linus Phillips. If you remember Linus Phillips.
Of course.
Yeah, he plays this guy named Nick. He's a real piece of shit. He's just awful. So she's, kind of developing this play. She has actors involved. Esther Gorel plays her, and then Keith Polson plays Linus Phillips's character. And then, things start overlapping. You know what I mean? They start influencing each other because they want to get into the headspace of these characters. So they get into their lives, and then things just get out of hand. Everyone's involved with everyone. Everyone's a bit over the top. Keith Paulson's also like a piece of shit. So I guess he really understands Linus Phillips' character because they're both pieces of shit. And the funniest thing with Nathan Silver is that, I mean, they start out as not good people, right? But he kind of holds some things to his chest about them that he reveals much later in the movie. And he just does so in a very like nonchalant, just like a very subtle, or well, not really subtle, but just matter of factly, like, oh yeah, by the way, this person has a wife. And you're just like, what? This guy's been married the whole time? And then a little bit later, it just dropped that, oh yeah, he has a kid too. And it's just like, it just makes you like, you already thought that this guy was kind of a piece of work, a real piece of work. And then you just learn that stuff and you're like, wow, it's like, it takes it to a whole nother level. Like I thought he was kind of like low level piece of work, but he's up the ladder. He's up the food chain there. The only thing that felt a little bit off for me was the ending. The ending kind of fumbled it a little bit, and it also has a lot of the kind of the visual style of Thirst Street, where everything kind of has that haziness. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of scenes that kind of like shot in like almost like a kaleidoscope, where there's like 4 different people, So it's visually interesting throughout, and the performances are great. It's pretty damn funny. They're awful people. Just the ending a little bit, but I would definitely recommend it.
All right. And that's on Amazon Prime. The Great Pretender by Nathan Silver. Didn't even know this was coming out.
Yep. Same here. I had no idea.
Was not aware of that.
This is something I learned on Twitter. I mean, once in a blue moon, Twitter just really comes through.
Yeah. Yep. I saw Dark Phoenix. This is the new X-Men movie directed by Simon Kinberg. This is not good at all. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is not good. This is probably one of the worst X-Men movies to ever be released. It's not as bad as X3. X3 was like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. Like it didn't surprise me that there was some marketing behind this, but I felt like they weren't really pushing it super hard. And I kind of had a weird feeling about it. And then they did one press screening here in New York, and it was the embargo, the review embargo lifted Wednesday, and movies come out in New York on Thursday. So I knew that was not a great sign either. And it was rough, man. It's boring. It's based on arguably one of the best X-Men story arcs. It was taken from the cartoon, the Fox cartoon, the Dark Phoenix saga, or maybe it's just called the Phoenix Saga, whatever. They eventually adapted that. I believe it was Chris Claremont was one of the people who adapted that into the comic books, and it was just a really great X-Men story. I think it was one of my favorites, and the adapting it into this movie just didn't work. It felt like a lot of the soul just kind of got sucked out of the story, and it's supposed to be the epic conclusion to the X-Men story, and like people just die, and you don't care, you don't feel that weight, and the whole movie is essentially just them sort of chasing after Jean Grey, trying to talk to her. And it's like there's not that many action scenes. The characters have very little to do. Like this really great ensemble is just wasted. And you have like some big characters, fan favorites that end up leaving in the first scene, and you're just like, okay, well, they're gone. And it's just like, what? Very disappointing. Just it felt, everything about this movie felt very lazy. It felt like that they were like, they knew that Disney bought them already, so they were just like, let's just finish this thing. Like they were all under contract, so they just had to get it done.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very bad. I can't recommend seeing Dark Phoenix.
Wow. Well, the only other thing I saw was Everybody Knows. It's the latest by Asghar Farhadi. And this was a disappointment. First off, it's 132 minutes. Doesn't need to be. That's my expertise critique. Doesn't need to be 132 minutes. It's Penelope Cruz goes back to Spain with her family, and for her sister's wedding, and her daughter gets kidnapped. And then the rest of the movie is just them trying to get the daughter back. But it's all, like with most Farhadi movies, there's a secret. Some people know, some people don't. As the title tells you, apparently everyone does. It's that, and they don't even really do a good job of like you know immediately what the secret is, right? So there's really no attempt at least I couldn't see any. I couldn't really, nothing stood out to me as an attempt to like try and create tension of, someone finding out what the secret is or what the secret isn't, that kind of thing. So it's just, everything just feels really flat because there's so much of this kind of like unspoken, like posturing of not giving off too much information, which, I mean, your daughter's being kidnapped. Who fucking cares? Like like who cares if someone finds out like what this secret is? Like the biggest thing here is that you're trying to get your daughter back. Like it doesn't have a huge impact on whether you get your daughter back or not.
Yeah.
So just who cares? But there's no tension, and they spend so much of the time on this of like, them kind of tiptoeing around it. And it's, they're doing that for 132 minutes. And you're like, we know what it is. Like, you didn't really do a good job of concealing this. So it just all feels very unnecessary. So, gotta say, I didn't really like it.
That's a bummer. I saw The Beach Bum by Harmony Korine.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not into this.
I can tell just by that.
Yeah. I thought I was going to really love this because I like most of what Harmony Korine does. I've liked most of his movies. I loved Spring Breakers, like loved it. I think it was my number one movie the year it came out. And so I was pretty stoked about The Beach Bum. I missed it when it was in theaters. So I finally saw it, and at the end I was just like, okay, that was all right. That was okay. The thing is, it's exactly what you expect it is. Like there's no surprises. It is literally just Matthew McConaughey just going around town being a beach bum, like drinking, just drinking and doing drugs. That's what this movie is. 95 minutes of Matthew McConaughey being a cool laid back beach guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's some narrative in here. Like he's like rich. He's like this rich writer, but it's his wife who has most of the money, and she ends up dying, and like he can't get the money, his inheritance from her until he finishes his novel. So he has to finish his novel, and there's a scene where he has to go to rehab for a year, and then he meets Zac Efron, whose character is freaking hilarious in this, and they break out of rehab in like the first day that he's there. What is Zac Efron? Oh, his character's name's Flicker. Zac Efron. Jimmy Buffett's in it, which I think is hilarious because I think in a lot of ways this movie it's not poking fun at that like beach culture, but it's certainly like putting a mirror up to it and being like, this is kind of ridiculous. But I love the fact that Jimmy Buffett is in this playing himself. And of course you have Isla Fisher is his wife, and then Snoop Dogg's in it as well. As is Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence plays a guy who takes people out on dolphin watching tours, and he just loves dolphins. He loves dolphins so much.
Yes.
And his name's Captain Whack.
I want that movie. That's the movie I want.
The Captain
I want
Whack.
a full length of just Martin Lawrence taking people out to look at dolphins.
Yeah, something kind of surprising happens with that. And Jonah Hill's in it. He plays Matthew McConaughey's character, his manager, Moondog's manager.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You know, there's certainly, it's funny. You know, there's certainly humor to be had in here. There were quite a few moments that made me laugh, but ultimately at the end, I was just like, all right, like it came and it went and it was fine. I didn't have many problems with it, but it just sort of meandered around and it entered my life and then it left, and it didn't really leave any kind of impact on me. But it is certainly a love letter to like the beach. I mean, when you think of the beach, like all the kind of tacky shit you see at the beach and all the people that live at the beach, I think that Harmony Korine is just so perfectly in tune with those people and that culture that he can just very easily make a movie that takes place there, and it feels very real and authentic. Anyway, that's The Beach Bum.
The Beach Bum. That's disappointing.
Yeah, you know, it's like all right.
Yeah, well, that's all I got. That's it.
Okay.
I got those. I got three. Got three this week. Not bad.
I'll quickly mention the Lego Movie 2, the second part, which I saw this weekend. It's this is another one where I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I didn't think it was at the same level as the first one. They expand on a lot of the stuff that happens in the first one, but a lot of it feels like sort of just a little bit of a retread to me. The animation is still incredible, but it doesn't quite have the same magic that the first one had. But I would give it a light recommend. I also saw Double Impact starring Van Damme. Never saw this before. 1991, directed by Sheldon Lettich. It's the one where Van Damme, it plays twins in it. He plays Chad and Alex. And it's this movie's so ridiculous. The folks at MVD, so they released this on the MVD Rewind collection, and the folks at MVD were kind enough to send me a copy for review, and it is just utterly ridiculous, and I kind of loved it. It's a terrible movie, but it's really fun to watch. And the Blu-ray has a 2-hour making of documentary, and it has like the whole cast, the whole crew. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. So maybe check out Double Impact on the MVD Rewind collection. I love that we've talked about them before, and I like that they exist. You know, like Arrow handles like kind of classic 70s, 80s horror movies, like especially ones that lean towards like Italian horror and stuff. But there's nobody really handling the like 90s action movie. And I feel like a lot of them are just sort of disappearing. And that seems to be where this MVD Rewind collection is coming into play. And they're picking up a lot of these. I mean, like Double Impact, that's an MGM movie, and they still got the rights to like release it and stuff. So they have a lot of cool stuff. That's really all I have this week. All right, let's talk about some new releases in theaters this week. We got a couple biggies. Men in Black International coming out.
Ooh.
What do you think about this one?
Indifferent.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a Men in Black movie since the first one, I think.
I didn't like part 2. I did like part 3 actually. I was surprised at that one, but I'm also indifferent about this one. There's a lot of people that I like in it, but from the trailers, I'm just like, meh. It looks like another Men in Black. It could be fun, but whatever.
Yeah.
We also have Shaft coming out. This is the new one with Samuel L. Jackson and who plays his son? Jesse T. Usher plays J.J. Shaft. And of course, you have Robert Roundtree in there playing Shaft Sr. So you got 3 generations of Shaft in there.
Okay.
Again, no real expectations for this one. It could be fun, but
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. The Dead Don't Die is coming out. Jim Jarmusch.
Heard surprising things.
Yeah.
Things. Not only, like, I wasn't that surprised that, like, people didn't like it, but I've seen a number of people saying that it's, like, one of the worst things that they've seen.
No, come on. It's definitely not.
Okay.
I think that there's certain expectations people might have going into it, and when it doesn't meet or exceed those expectations, or it's not exactly what they thought it was, it really turns them off. And to be clear, there were things in this movie that I wasn't on board with. There's certain things that happen that I could totally understand somebody just being like, no, that is ridiculous. Sorry, I'm just not on board with this. But I still thought it was the comedy in it still really landed for me. So
Okay.
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either.
Gotcha.
Let's see what else we have in theaters this week. Hampstead is coming out. In the Aisles. We got American Woman, Head Count, Being Frank. That's a comedy with Jim Gaffigan. Our Time. That's the
Regadas?
Yeah, the Carlos Regadas
Dang,
movie.
finally.
Yeah. I feel like that's been a long time coming. Daughter of the Wolf. And it looks like that's pretty much it for this week. On VOD, let's see what we have. This is on June 10th. We have High Death. It's HI, like High Death. I think it's supposed to be like High Def, but it's High Death.
Ah, I gotcha. Clever.
It's
Okay.
from the makers of High 8 Horror Independent 8.
What? From the who?
High 8 colon Horror Independent 8.
What?
Oh my God. What is happening here?
I got
It's like a VHS ripoff. That's what that looks like.
Well, I'm looking it up and adding it to my watch list. Is that also high, as in high def? Or
Yeah, yeah.
What is it? High 8?
High 8, like the camera.
Yeah.
But then it's colon Horror Independent 8. So
You're damn right it is.
so they're saying like it's High 8, but it also so it's a double meaning. It could refer to the the camera type, but it also stands for Horror Independent 8. Something also tells me that that was probably not shot on High 8.
No, but it does have 8 separate directors.
Okay, there you go.
So there's these guys are clever.
All kinds of meanings happening with that title.
Wow.
Now, High Death, I'm not sure how that one
Wow.
works. High Death. but it's the same concept. It's a horror anthology.
Oh boy.
Anyway, on the 11th, we have Ice on Fire. This is the HBO documentary that's produced and narrated by Leonardo DiCaprio. It's the environmental doc.
Okay.
We have Do Something, the Jeffrey Modell story.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
think,
Jeff.
I guess it's Modell. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name.
What did he do? Did he direct one of the High Independent 8 shorts? What's his story?
Well,
What's he doing?
I'm looking here. Jeffrey Modell was a kid who had primary immunodeficiency, a disorder of the immune system.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 15. And as a result, his parents, Fred and Vicky, turned to their enduring love for each other to find the strength to fulfill their promise to Jeffrey. And they ended up starting up a foundation in his name.
Okay.
Also on the 11th, we have Hallowed Grounds. It's a horror movie. Before Homosexuals, from ancient times to Victorian crimes.
Ooh.
It's a documentary about the olden days
Gotcha.
of same-sex love.
Gotcha.
Could be interesting. Crisis Hotline, that's another horror movie. And then on the 14th, we have Pause, Head Count, Midnight Runner, Murder Mystery is going to be on Netflix. That's the Adam Sandler one with Jennifer Aniston. Back again. Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston.
Dude, anytime I hear Adam Sandler and Netflix, all I can think of is you cleaning.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a weekend cleaning watch for me. Another comedy that's coming out on Friday is Plus One. I saw this recently. I can't even remember what festival that was at, but I saw it at a festival very recently, and it was pretty good. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
Definitely made me laugh, so I'd give that a look. Hampstead, Vault is coming out. Looks like it's a heist movie about a vault. Got to break into that vault. Inspired by a true story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're difficult. They're difficult to break into.
Yeah. Well, they're tricky. Yeah. I mean, they're designed that way. But
yeah. I mean, that's pretty much their main function. Is to not be broken into. So when you do, it does seem to make sense to make a movie about it.
Yeah, of course. Deep Murder comes out. This is a horror comedy that, just by looking at the poster, looks like a absolute treasure.
Ooh.
Stars Jerry O'Connell there.
Oh boy.
And he's got a wicked soul patch.
Yes.
It's a genre-bending horror comedy that takes place inside the world of a softcore porn.
No boy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awful. That's just gonna be a downright awful movie.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bad experience for anybody involved. On Blu-ray this week, I got a few things here. Captain Marvel is coming out, so if you haven't seen Captain Marvel, maybe give it a look. Who knows? It's not horrible.
Okay.
Piranha from 1978 is getting a steelbook release. Looks like a lot of steelbooks are coming out this weekend. Johnny Quest, the complete series. This is the original 1964 Johnny Quest.
Really?
I was a huge fan of Johnny Quest back in the day.
Okay.
I loved that show. The Entity from 1982 is getting a Blu-ray release, collector's edition. Shout Factory is releasing Jeffrey from 1995. That's with Patrick Stewart and Steven Weber, Sigourney Weaver. Leprechaun Returns from last year. Hitting the Old Blue. I'd probably skip that one. I'll tell you, there's like half of one good Leprechaun movie in existence. They're all just so bad. Devil's Kiss from 1976. Final Stab from 2001. The Warriors from 1979 is getting a new Steelbook edition.
Oh, yeah.
Captive State. Captive State was one that kind of just came and went. That was one that like crept up out of nowhere. Like I wasn't even familiar with what that was when I started seeing trailers for it. I still want to give it a look, but
Well, now is the time.
yeah, no excuses. Kidnapped from 1971, starring Michael Caine.
Oh, Michael Caine doing some kidnapping.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Pop Star Never Stopping. That's getting a Steelbook too.
I need to see that one.
You do need to see that.
I do.
It's great. The Steelbook looks really cool too.
I don't know if I need to see the Steelbook version. I think I need to see the ho-hum.
Just the regular. Yeah.
Just the old regular, pick up the DVD at Giant.
Yeah, that or just stream it.
I could stream it, I guess, yeah.
It's probably on some of the service.
You would think.
I don't know.
But I bet you it's not.
Maybe not. 5 Feet Apart from earlier this year coming out.
It seems like I don't want to make this longer, but it seems like you've been listening to DVDs for like the last 45 minutes.
No, not DVDs. I mean, like just a lot of other regular releases and stuff. There's a lot of VOD titles this week. The Mustang from 2019 coming out.
The Mustang? The
Yeah.
hell's that?
The one with Matthias Schoenaerts.
No.
It's not the car. It's a horse, like the horse Mustang.
The Mustang horse.
Story of a violent convict who is given the chance to participate in a rehabilitation therapy program involving the training of wild Mustangs.
Oh, okay. He always seems to play a guy with a violent nature that needs to get rehabilitated.
Seems that way, yeah. Evil Bong 666 is coming out on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
And Evil Bong 777 is coming out on Blu-ray. I loaded that the sequel was 777. I just think that's very funny. That's pretty much it. There's a whole bunch of re-releases and stuff, but nothing else worth mentioning. What about Criterion's this week?
Well, we got one, and it's not as good as Evil Bong 777. But it's George Stevens' Swing Time from 1936 with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. And interesting thing here, I've actually seen this movie.
Nice.
And it's pretty good, except I'm not a Fred Astaire guy. I don't like Fred Astaire. He annoys me.
I don't really have an opinion one way or the other, honestly.
Well, I want you to watch Fred Astaire movies and then get back to me. Because for whatever reason, it's just something about him just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, truthfully, I'm not sure how many of his movies I've seen over the years. No, well. All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse. Consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.